Jon, как я тебя учил?
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Fight Grid. Today's episode is absolutely stacked from start to finish. We've got Ilia Topuria calling out half the division, Arman Tsarukyan responding with pure violence, Paddy Pimblett somehow landing a top 5 ranking out of thin air, Shavkat and Ian Garry shaking up the welterweight division, a leaked Alex Pereira rumor that had the whole MMA world confused, and Jon Jones going viral again, but this time for something he definitely didn't expect. All of this is developing in real time, so let's get right into it because today's news cycle has been chaos. We start with Ilia Topuria, who was asked about Jack Della Maddalena's performance against Islam Makhachev, and Ilia didn't just critique him, he absolutely cooked him. Ilia said JDM put up zero resistance, fought like he didn't want to be in there, and claimed Islam did what he always does. Fight boring.
So what makes you want to move up to 155?
Because I really believe that I can beat the current champion, Islam. You can't be a world champion by chance, you know, you have to do things great.
He's a beast.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah.
But I like the competition.
He said the entire fight looked like a mismatch from the opening bell and added that he would finish Islam if they ever fought at welterweight. Topuria even doubled down, saying Islam is not built for someone like me, and that the moment he touches Islam, the fight would be over. And this is where things immediately blew up, because Arman Tsarukyan was not letting that slide. On his private jet, Arman aimed the camera at himself and delivered one of the coldest messages he's ever sent. I'd like to smash him with elbows, cut up his whole face, and finish by TKO. No hype, no setup, just a dead serious threat. When that clip hit social media, fighters and analysts couldn't believe how personal Arman made it.
Thank them because of him I fought this year. Just only guy who wanted to fight me. Everybody is run out, especially Ilia. If you're here, come on. We got a face on. There is just one contender, number one, is Arman Tsarukyan.
Daniel Cormier even reacted, saying Arman might be the worst possible matchup for Ilia, calling him one of the 2 best lightweights on earth right now. And honestly, with how he's been fighting lately, DC might be right. But while this whole Ilia versus Arman back and forth dominated headlines, the UFC was making quiet moves behind the scenes. Ariel Helwani reported that the first ever Paramount card in January, the one Ilia's team wanted to headline, might not actually feature him at all. The current frontrunner for the main event is Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes, a super fight that completely changes the direction of that card. According to Ariel, Ilia's negotiations with the UFC didn't go the way he expected, and the promotion pivoted fast. This left Ilia's camp confused, and then another rumor dropped that made everything even weirder.
I know he doesn't make the fights, you know, it's what the UFC wants to do, but if it was up to him, what does he think is the most exciting and most probable matchup next?
Peso pesado. Casa Branca, Jon Jones.
Jon Jones.
Super luta.
White House, Jon Jones, Alex Pereira. I have goosebumps.
A reporter claimed Alex Pereira was booked to fight Carlos Ulberg in January at T-Mobile Arena. It spread like wildfire. Fans were shocked. Ulberg himself posted cryptic emojis, and then Ariel Helwani shut it all down in seconds. He said, "This is not true. The hope is still the White House card versus Jon Jones. There have been no talks with Ulberg." So whoever leaked that report was way off, or trying to manufacture hype. What is clear is that Pereira's next move remains a total mystery, and the UFC still wants Jon Jones to headline the historic White House event. While all that uncertainty was happening, we got fresh ranking updates across multiple divisions, and they caused even more chaos. At welterweight, Ian Garry officially jumps to number 2 after beating Belal Muhammad, which pushes Belal down to number 5.
For the winner by unanimous decision, the future, Ian Makhachev.
Shavkat moves up to number 3, which now sets up a potential title run, depending on how the UFC decides to book Leon Edwards. At lightweight, things mostly stayed the same. Arman remains the number 1 contender, Dan Hooker stays at number 6, But the big shock came in the pound-for-pound rankings. Arman enters at number 13, Bilal drops to number 15, and surprisingly, Waldo Cortez Costa cracks the heavyweight top 5 after 2 dominant wins. But none of that compared to the ranking change that broke the internet, Paddy Pimblett suddenly being listed as the number 5 lightweight in the world. Nobody understood it. Even hardcore Paddy fans couldn't explain it.
If you have, what are your thoughts about that?
I didn't see it. What was it?
Well, there's some certain changes. Paddy Pimblett is not right now in top 5.
Fuck, that's... Hell.
Arman Tsarukyan went off on Ariel Helwani's show, saying, "How can you beat number 12 and number 13 and become number 5? I beat everyone to get here. They're making fake rankings." Arman believes the UFC is manufacturing Paddy's rise for a title storyline, and honestly, it's starting to look like he might be right. Paddy has not beaten a top 5 guy, not even a top 7 guy, yet he's somehow ahead of killers like Gamrot, Fiziev, and Dariush. Ilia Topuria didn't stay quiet either. He said he wants Paddy Pimblett next, or he wants the UFC to create a new 160-pound pound-for-pound championship. Or he wants Islam at 170 for a 3rd weight class. Arman immediately fired back, saying it's obvious Ilia is trying everything possible to avoid fighting him. Even Sean O'Malley chimed in, saying the UFC will probably never book Arman versus Ilia because Arman is too much of a problem.
Backup fighter for this one is going to be Tsarukyan, right?
It's a bad decision for him. He has no chances. Like, first minutes of the fight, what he's gonna do? Go for the takedowns. Bro, come on.
Robert Whittaker also weighed in, saying Paddy needs a lot more work before a title shot, and that Arman versus Ilia is the real fight that needs to happen. Meanwhile, Islam Makhachev finally addressed his next move. He said he expects to know his next opponent in a couple weeks. He dismissed Shavkat as an option because a contender can't sit out a year, and he said fighting Ilia at 155 would require a massive offer because that weight cut takes years off your life. Islam also said he prefers a fight that makes sense legacy-wise, which has fans questioning whether he wants Arman or whether he'd prefer someone stylistically easier.
And I don't like to be a bully and fight with people that I know 100% that I'm gonna whoop his ass, you know? I like to fight with people that the fans think that it's gonna be very competitive.
Arman also reflected on something surprising, the headbutt incident during the Dan Hooker stare-down. He said he regrets it because Hooker could have pulled out, taken the payday, and no one would have blamed him. Arman said, "Dan has balls. I respect him for that. I made a mistake." That moment added a level of maturity and self-awareness fans didn't expect from Arman, especially after such an emotional fight week. But none of the lightweight drama came close to the biggest story of the day, Jon Jones in Russia. New footage surfaced showing Jones grappling with Khamzat Chimaev at an event hosted by Ramzan Kadyrov. Jones said he was there for Kadyrov's son's birthday and to sign an ambassador deal, but the internet erupted instantly. Fans, reporters, and even international organizations questioned the optics of Jones associating with Kadyrov's camp, given all the political controversies surrounding them. Jones brushed off the criticism by saying he was focused on business, but then a new clip dropped that made everything even crazier. It showed Jones telling Khamzat, "We'll do a grappling match. Let's make it happen." Fans were stunned. Jon Jones, the UFC heavyweight champion, hasn't defended his belt since 2023. The division is completely frozen, and instead of talking about Stipe, Pavlovich, Almeida, or Aspinall, he's discussing a grappling match in Russia with Khamzat Chimaev. Nobody knows whether the UFC will allow it or whether Jon even realizes how wild this looks. The MMA community is now split. Some say Jones is just staying active and having fun, while others believe he's avoiding actual heavyweight contenders. The UFC hasn't commented yet, and this story is only getting bigger by the hour. And that's going to wrap up today's massive update. Who should Ilia defend his belt against, Arman or Paddy? Is Paddy's ranking legit or pure UFC marketing? And what do you make of Jon Jones showing up in Russia and agreeing to a grappling match with Khamzat? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a drop. This is Fight Grid, signing out.